Billy Graham's daughter is sounding the alarm, calling on America's church to cry out to God in prayer and repentance. Anne Graham Lotz says God is sending clear signs that his judgment is coming on America. Anne Graham Lotz joins us now for more by Skype. Anne, thanks for being with us.
Lori, thank you for inviting me.
Well, you taught a prophecy seminar earlier this year with author Joel Rosenberg that had a profound impact on you. Tell us about that.
It did. We went through the book of Joel. So the first chapter and the first part of the second chapter, then Joel Rosenberg picked up the second chapter where I left off, and he did chapter 3. And those were new messages for me. I'd never given them that way, never spoken from Joel chapter 2. So I prepared them, and when I gave them to the audience at the Cove, we had a seminar that actually was the largest seminar that ever had. And I think people are very interested in what's going on from God's perspective. But when I walked off the platform after both teaching Joel chapter 1 and chapter 2, it was as though the hair stood up on the back of my neck, and I knew I had said things I had not studied, I had not prepared, I had not pre-thought. And I knew God was speaking, and the message was very clear to me, and it was that the day of the Lord is near. That's the theme of the book of Joel, and the day of the Lord is a time of judgment. It's a time when God's patience runs out. It's a day of reckoning. And I felt that God was saying that the day of the Lord is near, and I felt specifically he was warning America. And so, I came away from that very sobered. And then I began to pray and ask God, what can I do? What can we do? And of course, in Joel chapter 1 and 2 is very clear. When the message comes through and the day of the Lord is near, that we're to cry out, rend our hearts, which is a deep repentance.
You say God's been sending warnings in the form of natural disasters, financial collapse, terrorism, and social crises and other ways. Do you think the church is getting the message?
Lori, I don't know. I believe I've gotten the message. And, one thing people say to me, and I've had pastors say this to me, that these things have always happened, and they get a little irritated with people like me that try to sound the alarm or blow the trumpet. But the difference is that what we're seeing today is increasing in frequency and increasing in intensity. And Jesus said in Matthew 24 that when there's one generation that includes the gospel being preached to the whole world, includes the rebirth of the nation of Israel, and all the signs that he gives, and the signs that he gives, he says, are like birth pains. Mm-hmm. When I gave birth to my children, our pains started maybe 5 minutes apart, then they went 4 minutes, 3 minutes, 2 minutes. As they increased in frequency, they increased in intensity until the end, I couldn't take it anymore, but then the baby came. Mm-hmm. And so the birth pains, the signs that Jesus gives, whether it's in the environmental world or national world, the wars and rumors of wars, or the persecution of Christians, the persecution of Jews, when we see that ratcheting up, increasing in frequency and in intensity in the same generation that sees the gospel being preached to the whole world and Israel reborn as a nation, that's the generation that's the last. I believe with deep conviction that it's my generation. I was born the same, just a week apart from the time when Israel was reborn as a nation. We're the same age. Mm-hmm. And I believe that in my lifetime, if I live out my lifetime, a natural lifetime, I believe I will live to see the return of Jesus in the rapture when he comes back to take us to be with himself, which means preceding that, there are going to be some signs, there are going to be some warnings. And like the Israelites in Egypt, when God sent the 10 plagues on Egypt to force Pharaoh to let his children go, the Israelites went through the first 3 plagues themselves. Mm-hmm. And they've been nuisance plagues, but they still came under some of the judgment that then they were spared from in the last 7 plagues. So before Jesus comes back, he may allow the church to go through some judgment because it purifies us. It just helps us get our priorities straight and increases our focus and also our compulsion, I think, to share the gospel with the people around us. Lori, I don't think the answer is in Washington. I don't think it's in our economy. I don't think it's in our military. Only God can solve the problems we face today. And the world is not going to turn to God. It's up to God's people to stand in the gap. If God's people who are called by God's name will pray and humble themselves and seek his face and turn from our wicked ways, then he'll hear our prayer, he'll forgive our sin, and God will bless America. But so I think the blessing on America is directly related to God's people getting their act together. Mm-hmm. So
Anne Graham Lotz, thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you, Lori. God bless you.
You too.